Okay, back to the questions. Question number 31. Let me ask Mr. Abdulaziz. Mr. Abdulaziz. Yes, please.
Yes.
Just what I need from your counsel is to read the question and give me the right answer from your point of view and why you have selected this one.
Okay. The question said you are a senior project manager working at manufacturing plant that procedures component used by aviation industry. You are using a combination of lean and waterfall to manage a project and are in the process of implementing approved changes. What are process group do these process activities belong to? Initiating process group, planning process group, executing process group, monitoring and controlling process group.
Okay.
So the question said we are follow the lean and waterfall to manage the projects. This is first, and we are implementing approved changes. So implementing when we want to implement approved changes, we are in executing process group. So the correct answer is C.
Correct answer is C.
Yes, because we are implementing approved changes. So after the change request approved, so we want to implement it. So if we want to implement any change request that are approved from the owners or management, so we are in executing stage. We implement this change request in executing stage.
Yes. Let me just to remind the people with this part. You are right, and let me remind the people with this. Okay, part 3. No, part 2. Part 2. Part 2. Part 3. Okay, now direct and manage. Okay, now as you can see from the screen, now we are in executing project work or executing process group, and we are in the integration management knowledge area, and the process is direct and manage project work. When it comes to the input for this process, you're going to find the approved change request. Approved change request. And the output, you are going to have deliverables, or even you may have certain change requests as of conducting the work and doing the monitor control process. But implementing the approved change request, it's coming under the executing process group. The change request is going to be created in the monitor control process group, and executing this approved change request in the executing process group. So the right answer will be C. Now let me ask, we have Julia. Julia? Okay. Okay, Juby? Juby?
Hi, Haitham.
I was
Can you
sorry.
hear me?
Yeah,
I'm
I
good.
can hear you. Okay,
Haitham,
now yeah, I can hear
can you
you.
just no? Can you excuse me for some time?
Okay, take your time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so let me ask it, or sorry, let me read this question from my end. Christine has recently joined. Okay, Julia, are you able to hear me?
You can hear me?
Are you able to hear me?
No.
I think there is a problem with your mic. Anyway, let me read this question from my end. Christine has recently joined a growing startup company as a project manager in the medical device industry, reporting to the head of research and development. During her first week, she spends time familiarizing herself with the organization and her responsibilities. She is pleasantly surprised to learn that she will be directly responsible for managing her own project budget. What type of organizational structure does Christine work within? First of all, let's analyze the structure of this question. She's going to join as a project manager. At the same time, she's going to report to the head of research and development.
Okay.
And then she has been surprised that she's going to be responsible for certain project, and she's going to be responsible for managing the budget. Okay. Now, when you are going to report to certain functional manager, which is
Yeah.
the head of research and development, that means either you are working in functional organization or you are going to work in matrix organization. Here, the
Yeah.
keyword, she's going to manage her project budget. She's going to manage her own project budget, which means that she has authority over the project budget. If you remember when we were discussing the organizational structures and how it impacts the projects, one of the structures was project oriented, where the project manager is working as a full-time on projects. He has full authority on each and every tiny detail in these projects. On the far right, we were having the functional organization, while the project manager is going to act as a project coordinator. He doesn't have any authority over anything, and anything related to the project is going to be under under the umbrella of the functional manager. And in between, we are going to have the matrix organization. In the matrix organization, we were having three subcategories. First one is weak matrix, which is very close to the functional manager. The project manager, he doesn't have authority over the project. And balanced metrics, at this moment, the project manager and the functional managers are sharing the responsibilities, sharing the authorities in the project, and they are fighting together because of the sharing this authority. And a strong metrics, which is very close to the project-oriented organization. Because of that, when you are going to report to functional manager, and at the same time you have high authority over your project budget or over the resources, that means you are within a strong matrix organization. A strong matrix organization. So when you are going to read question like that, you have to pay attention. You have to pay attention for the keywords like this. Just one second. Okay. Now, let me ask Nader. Nader. Nader.
Yes, yes. Hi, Haitham. How are you? كيفك؟
الحمد لله. شوف انت لسه جاي جيت لقضاك. قول.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Question number 33.
33. تمام. You are using the data representation tool and techniques of the managed quality process with one of the product deliverable to organize potential causes of defects into a groups. Which tools and technique does this describe? You are using the data representation tools technique of the manage quality process with one of the product deliverables to organize potential causes of defects into groups. Matrix diagram, international process decision program chart. Here it's an affinity diagram because in affinity diagram they make groups.
Mm-hmm. Groups of what?
Here they here
Just
they
I
make
would like you to give more explanation on the affinity diagram. You are saying they are going to make groups. Groups of what?
يعني as per the question here they make groups of the causes of defects or the organized potential causes of defects.
Okay, and from your point of view, let's say for example, when we are going to use the affinity diagram,
Yes.
And we are going to make grouping for the causes of defect. Could you give me like sample examples for the cause of defects, which can be just to imagine with you or to understand the process behind the affinity diagram?
The again the question is item.
Okay. Let me say it from my end. The affinity diagram is going to let's say you are making a brainstorming for something, okay, and you would like to make grouping for the ideas. So maybe when it comes to the causes of defects, maybe you are going to have some causes related to the design. So when anything coming under the design, it will be under the group of design. Potential cause of problems which is coming under the design. Maybe when you are going to have a certain problem related to the development or the interface, you're going to have all the problems which will be under the interface under group called the interface problems. When it comes to the team skills, all things related to the team skills will be under one group called team skills. So you are going to analyze each group of these, and after that you are going to identify what will be the main cause behind this problem and how you are going to analyze it and how you are going to solve it. That's what we mean with the affinity diagram. Affinity diagram is going to make grouping for the ideas, or grouping for the causes of defects, or grouping for the problems. And after that, you're going to you're going to analyze each group separately. And based on this analysis, you are going to suggest or you are going to recommend the solution.
Yes.
Okay. Question
Okay.
number. Thank you, Nader. Question number 34. Dua.
Yes, Haitham.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Question number 34, please.
you are a project manager working within a division that recently experienced a reorganization. Your new manager will now step in as the sponsor of your existing project. She asks you for briefing on the timeline and honors of outcomes yielded by the project that will provide value to the department. What document will you likely reference during the briefing? Product backlog, project content, sound benefit.
First of all,
She's asked for briefing on the timelines and honors of outcomes yielded by the project that will provide value to the department. I believe it's the benefit management plan.
yes. Why? Again, this is the second time to see in our question the value. When it comes to the value of our project, just 1 second. When it comes to the value of our project, we are talking about the benefits management plan. Benefits management plan. Okay. When it comes to the product backlog only talking about the requirements. Talking about only the requirements, how you are going to prioritize your requirements, and the product backlog you are going to take from it. What? You are going to take the sprint, and you are going to have a sprint backlog. Benefits management plan, as said right now by Dua, now when we are going to talk about the value, the business needs, it's going to be mentioned in the benefits management plan. Project management plan, you are going to talk about the processes which you are going to follow inside your project, the planning for each and every tiny detail for your project. Burn down chart. Burn down chart is one of the project's artifact. If you remember when we were talking about the project artifact, it's going to reflect the amount of work which you have completed and the remaining work in your project. Burn down chart is one of the tools which will be created in the agile methodology to reflect what you have completed, especially in the Scrum, what you have completed from the required sprint or the required iteration, and what is still remaining. Now, let's say we are going to ask, we have Nurhan. Okay. We have Engineer Muhammad.
Yes يا هيثم.
ازي حضرتك عامل ايه؟
الحمد لله.
Okay, question number. I think someone is raising his hand. Or someone. Okay, Abdullah. Question number. Oh, what?
35.
Yeah, 35.
Using the following 3-point estimate, calculate the expected value using the triangular distribution formula. Optimistic 25, pessimistic 50, most likely 35. The answer will be number D, 37. It's the average of the three.
Could you tell us how you or what is the formula for this?
Optimistic plus pessimistic plus most likely divided by 3. It will come 36.67. So I choose number D, 37.
Okay. Is it clear for each and everyone? Okay, now if we are going to say we are going to follow the PERT technique, or we are going to use the beta estimate, how you are going to use, or what with the formula which you are going to use?
You are asking me, هيثم؟
Yeah.
والله هو بس اللي انا حفظته اللي هو دوت الحقيقه.
لا يا باشا، لا يا باشا، كده بتضحك عليا. ماشي يا باشا.
معلش يا عم انا حليتها صح، هي الله يخليك.
ماشي، سيبنا
هيبقى عندي
متلصمين يا
طرف ان انا
ابني.
احل بطريقتين يعني.
ماشي. لا بس على فكره هي مطلوبه، لانه ممكن في الامتحان يطلبها منك، بس خليني انا اوضحها من عندي. اوكي، مفيش مشكله. Alright, so like this. Okay. Just I'm looking for the This one. Okay. If you remember when we were talking about the cost and activity duration estimate, we were having certain formula called 3-point estimate. This formula is going to depend on three main factors. First one is called optimistic. Second one is called most likely. Third one is called pessimistic. Best case scenario. Worst case scenario. Moderate or neutral scenario. In your exam, maybe you will be asked to estimate the activity duration or estimate the activity cost based on 3-point estimate. At this moment, you are going to follow the formula which have been mentioned by Engineer Muhammad right now, and the formula will be, it will be optimistic plus most likely plus pessimistic divided by 3. On the other hand, maybe you are going to be asked for calculating the cost or the activities duration estimate by using PERT or beta calculation. What you need to know about this, just the formula. It will be optimistic for ml plus pessimistic divided by 6. 99% when you are going to follow any of them, the result will be the same. However, maybe when you are going to use this formula, the result will be maybe 35.23 or 0.234 or maybe 26.2. And when they are going to ask you to use this formula, it will be somehow tricky because maybe someone is going to say the result will be the same. Yes, 99% of all the time, it will be the same. But in some scenarios or in some cases, the result will be different. So just you need to pay attention whether you will be asked to use the 3-point estimation or PERT or beta calculation. In case you will be asked to use the 3-point estimate, this will be the formula. And in case you are going to be asked to use the beta calculation, you are going to use that formula.
Haitham, the triangle here means the 3 points?
Yes.
Okay.
Just 1 second, please. Now, which of the following stages of Tuckman ladder address the stage at which the team is the most productive and effective? Let me show you one thing. It's in the presentation part 3. This part of the team development. Okay. When it comes to this scenario, when you'll be asked for Tuckman ladder, this question is mainly talking about the team development stages. Team development stages. We have 5 stages for the team development. One is called forming, second one is called storming, third one is called norming, performing, and adjourning. What I need from your end is to be familiar with each and every term, and in case you are going to face a question like that in the exam, it will be a straightforward question. Just you need to differentiate between the terms. So forming is the first step in forming the team. Each and every one coming with different background. And there will be somehow certain resistance against each other. Storming, here they started to believe that they will be part of the team and they will know their rules and responsibilities inside the team. Norming, now the ice has been broken and they started to work or to do the work together. But still they need some time to understand each other. But the resistance has been removed and now they start to be acting as a one unit, one spirit. But performing is the highest productivity level. Highest productivity level. And the team is going to act as a one unit. And they are trying themselves in case they are going to face such a problem. Adjourning. The team has completed the required task. Maybe they are going to be released or they are going to be assigned on a new project or another task. So the question here is asking about which of the following stages of the Tuckman ladder address the stage at which the team is the most productive and effective. Go back to this slide. You are going to find it here, the performing stage. Performing stage. Okay, now let me ask. Okay. Abdullah. Abdullah. Okay, let me ask, Juby, are you available right now? Okay, Bachmandis
Sorry,
Mohammed.
I just came from office. I mean, just 5 more minutes I need, then I'll be fully available.
Okay, it's okay. باشمهندس محمد اتفضل يا فندم. انجينير محمد.
ايوه يا هيثم، معلش ساعات بنسى المايك بس مقفول.
ولا يهمك.
37 مش كده؟
يب.
طيب, your project has experienced some changes in performance and some risks have occurred. EAC and the BEC now differ as a result. Your project sponsor is asking for an estimate of the cost of the project at completion. Which of the following is true? Which of the following is true? I choose number A. Budget at completion may no longer be reasonable given the changes in performance, so you should use estimate at completion to forecast the cost at completion.
Okay, just clarify to us, please, what is the difference between the budget at completion and the estimate at completion? Remind us with the difference, please.
Okay, budget at completion اللي هي ال cost baseline. This is the original budget in the contract in the project, and this is what I should be measuring my performance or measuring my actual expenditure against it. Since this has changed now with many items or many formulas that we can calculate, the estimate at completion is the one that I'm estimating based on my performance to date and my forecast or my estimation to the future until I reach the final estimate at completion. So this is the main difference. BEC is something fixed from the beginning of the project based on the cost baseline, which is the cost baseline. And this is my baseline. This is my approved project budget here.
Okay.
Estimate at completion is my performance to date plus my estimation to the remaining period of the project based on my performance, different scenarios. Am I going to continue with the same trend or the same flows, or I'm going to fix it? It changes, but now since there is they are different as a result, now I'm depending on the EEC, estimate at completion.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, again, let me remind ourselves with the difference between the budget at completion and the estimate at completion, because I believe our colleague Dua, she was not attending this lecture. So just like first briefing about the difference between them. Again, when it comes to the project, when you are going to in the early beginning, you are going to have certain number of activities in your project. And you have estimated the budget for each one of these activities. Then you are going to aggregate all of that together, and that will be activities cost estimate plus the contingency reserve which we have identified for each and every activity. That will be called the cost baseline or budget at completion. Cost baseline or budget at completion. All the time during your project, this will never change. This will never change. Now, we are going to have like three terms. First one is called planned value. Second one is called earned value. Third one is called actual cost. Planned value, you have, for example, you have selected 3 activities of that. you are planning here stage 0. You haven't started anything. That, let's say, that will be your budget from the early beginning of your project, let's say 1st of May till the end of December, which will be the end of your project. So for a certain period of time, you have planned to finish activity 1, 2, and 3. And each one of these activities has a certain cost estimate. So the planned value, it will be representing the 1, 2, and 3, and it is the cost estimate for planned work. Cost estimate for the planned work. You are planning to finish these 3 activities by, let's say, by the mid of June, for example. But till now, we are not reached to, we have not reached to the 15th of June. However, today is 15th of June, and you would like to check which activities you have completed from these. You have discovered that you have finished, let's say 1, 2, and let's say 10% of 3. The earned value is representing the value of work which you have completed. The value of work which you have completed, or the cost estimate for the work which you have completed. So cost estimate for the work completed. Here, the common factor, we are comparing cost estimate to the cost estimate, but the difference will be the planned work against the work completed. So in case I have completed the 1, 2, and 3, then the earned value will be equivalent to the planned value. In case I have completed 1, 2, and 3, and even 1% of any other activity, then the earned value will be higher than the planned value. Again, the constant or fixed factor here is the cost estimate. You're not going to compare cost to cost, because you're having the constant factor is the cost estimate. But the difference which will make, the factor which will make the difference here, the planned work against the completed work. The earned value will be equivalent to the planned value in case the planned work, the work completed is equivalent to the planned work. The earned value will be much higher or higher than the planned value in case even we have exceeded the planned work by even 0.0005. It will be lower than planned value in case we are going to be lower than, or we have not completed the work which we have planned for. Actual cost is representing the actual amount of money, or the actual cost, or the spent money on the work completed. I have actually finished 1, 2, and 3. Here, in the earned value, I'm taking in my consideration the cost estimate. But here, in the actual cost, I'm talking about the actual cost or the money which is in reality has been spent on these work completed. So the common factor here between the actual cost and the earned value is the work completed. But the difference here, we are talking about the actual cost, and here we are talking about the cost estimate. The actual cost will be equivalent to earned value when the actual amount of money which have been spent is the same for the cost estimate which I have planned for it. The actual cost will be higher than the earned value in case I was planning to finish the completed work for 10 KD while I have spent even 10.100 fills. Sorry. The actual cost will be lower than the earned value in case I was planning to finish these activities with 10 KD, and in reality even I have spent 9.950 fills. These formulas or these terms are going to drive me for certain number of formulas. One is called schedule performance index, one is called the schedule variance, cost variance, cost performance index. Based on this, based on that, and based on my performance, I'm going to have, or I need to estimate the cost at the completion, because maybe I have exceeded the budget which is allocated for the whole project from day one. This will be called estimate at completion, and it will have like 4 formulas. Again, these formulas are already mentioned in the last lecture in our course. I mean in the curriculum. We have 4 formulas. So based on my current performance, based on the budget at completion which I have estimated at the beginning of my project, this will drive me to the estimate at completion. I will have different scenarios. Each scenario will have different formula for calculating the estimate at completion. Additionally, I'm going to have to complete performance index. This will have 2 scenarios. Whether I would like to align with the original budget, or I would like to align with this. What should be my performance? Let's say you have, again, I'm going to remind you with the example which you have mentioned. Let's say you have agreed with your friend that you are going to meet him around 12 p.m. And suddenly when you are on the road, you have discovered there is a traffic jam. So you called him and you told him that actually I'm facing traffic jam and maybe I'm going to be late for about 20 minutes. So I will be in front of you at 12:20. Okay. Now you have two scenarios, either to arrive at 12 in your mind or to arrive at 12:20. So in order to arrive to at 12 for sure, because you were facing a certain traffic jam, if you were driving with certain speed equivalent to, let's say, 100 kilometer per hour, you need to increase your speed to be at least 140 or 160. While if you are going to cope with the other plan which you have told your friend about it, then maybe because of the traffic jam, maybe your speed will be maybe between 110 maximum to 120. So the same is applied here to this scenario. If I would like to align with the original budget, what should be my performance? If I would like to align with the estimated completion, what should be my performance? That's what we mean with the complete performance index. That's what we mean with the complete performance index. Dua, is it clear for you right now?
Yes, clear. Thank you.
I just try to make it somehow clear for you, but if you go back to the slides and you go back to the presentation, I mean the last session, it will be including more information more than this, okay?
Yes, thank you. I will sure go back to the lectures.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. So back to our question. Now we have finished 37.
Haitham, I'm free. Let me know when you want me to.
Okay, now your turn. Question number 38.
Okay. Okay. Mike is a seasoned project manager who has been tasked with mentoring Bernard, the junior project manager. During a mentoring session, Mike talks about the two types of knowledge. One type he shares can be codified using words, pictures, and numbers. What type of knowledge is Mike referring to? First option is tacit, B is known, C is unknown, and D is explicit. I think I will take the option. If it's words and pictures, then it should be explicit.
Okay,
If
tell
it is
me what
tacit,
do you mean with the explicit?
no, there is actually two types, or maybe three. Tacit is basically, I know that it is not something describable. It's maybe it cannot be shown. Tacit. Tacit is coming from no, what do you call, experience.
Could you
Okay.
give me certain examples to differentiate between tacit knowledge and explicit knowledge?
Yeah. For example, if just for an example, if there is a project, and okay, the project manager feels that more timeline or a specific task requires what you call the allotted time slot allocated for it, and from the project manager's experience from his previous projects, he can anticipate that this task may require more time as it may seem simple, but that task might go beyond it. And this is what I'm trying to explain. Okay, it is only from his experience he can say, but a junior level project manager can see it as just a task. Like, okay, it is if what do you call hiring a tractor or a truck may not be as easy as it seems. I'm just giving an example. It's just a wild example, but only from a experienced project manager he can say that this task may take a bit more longer. It should be anticipated plus 2 more days or plus 5 more days. It is required. So that is where the tacit will come. So explicit or that knowledge, explicit knowledge is those knowledge that can be shown, or with reference with books, or you can describe. Okay, like for example, the formulas that you just explained. That is, according to me, an explicit knowledge that is available in outside, or it can be expressed through numbers or words.
Mhm. Okay. Could you allow to me to rephrase what you have mentioned right now?
Sure, please.
Okay, thank you. So when it comes to the difference between the explicit knowledge, by the way, the answer which have been selected by Juby is right one, but let me make it from our experience and our daily work in our projects or in our tasks. So when it comes to the explicit knowledge and tacit knowledge, let's say I'm going to work under the supervision of Nader, okay? And I'm working as a junior staff. And Nader, he has deep experience with his domain. So he's going to take me with him in certain meetings, and additionally, he's mentoring me and giving or coaching me on developing my skills and my experience related to that domain. So when he's going to talk about to me about the design and how we are going to make the designs, and he shows me the designs, and he shows me the shop drawing and how we are creating the shop drawing, this stuff can be related to the explicit knowledge. Why? Because it can be expressed easily, or it's easy to express what is behind the idea. But when it comes to attending certain meeting with Nader, and we were about meeting certain very tough guy from the client side, and this guy knows for no one can debate with him, no one can stop him, no one can deal with him, and he always is making problem, and anyone is going to negotiate with him or having certain argument with him, he's going to lose this argument. However, when I went with Nader and attended the meeting with him, surprisingly, I found that Nader was able to handle the guy and to manage his attitude. And not only this, we have finished the meeting with having common ground between us and the client. Additionally, we have exchanged some terms and conditions related to the contract. After finishing the meeting, I was surprised and impressed why or how Nader has finished this. And I started to ask Nader, how you have handled this? The normal response, he's going to say, from my experience. Why? Because his experience in this part, how to deal with the people, how to deal with tough people like that. It's not it's not related to the technical part, but it's a personality plus negotiation skills plus technical skills. All of this have been accumulated over years. So even if when Nader is going to tell me I have done 1, 2, 3. So if I'm going to follow the same with anyone after that, maybe after 1 or 2 meetings, for sure the people are not going to listen to me. Why? Because me myself, I believe I'm not confident. But day by day, case by case, scenario by scenario, transaction by transaction, all of this will be accumulated. My skills is going to grow. My confidence is going to grow. My ability to deal with the people is going to grow. My flexibility to listen to the other opinions and listen to the end. And after that, I'm going to reply based on systemized or certain order for the ideas is going to improve. That's what we mean with tacit knowledge. Something cannot be expressed or something cannot be mentioned like the technical stuff. So when it comes to something can be expressed in an easy way, it's going to be explicit knowledge. When it comes to the something cannot be expressed, it's going to be tacit knowledge. I would like to be sure that it is clear for each and everyone before leaving this part. Raise your hand if it is clear for you, please. Okay. Thank you. Lower your hand, please. In what order do servant leaders approach their work? Actually, when it comes to servant leaders, we are getting out from the predictive life cycle, which is a waterfall, and we are moving toward the agile life cycle. When it comes to the servant leader and how he's thinking about the how to approach the people, how to manage the work, and how to manage the process, they should have certain systemized way. First of all, before leaving this question, please, I would appreciate if someone is going to remind me tomorrow to share with you certain flashcards for the agile. It will be make the process somehow easier for you. So here, the sequence or the approach of the servant leader is going to be the purpose, people, and process. Purpose, people, and process. Why the process is coming at the end? Again, we are trying to minimize the level of documentation and the standardization for your processes when it comes to the agile. So first of all, you are talking about the value which will be presented to the client and how you are going to deliver it to the client. So first of all, we are going to have the purpose and the purpose why we are going to do that. What will be the work which you are going to conduct? Second, all the time you would like or you need to act as a shield for your people. You are trying to be their backbone. You are trying to encourage your people, solving their problems, helping them to express their ideas. All the ideas are going to be appreciated. And the last part in this will be paying attention to the process and looking for the end result. If you remember, when I have shared with you during the sessions a certain number of questions for each session, there was a certain question is asking about if you are having a certain, if I remember the question correctly, if you are having a certain documentation required for your project and you are following the agile, who is going to make, or how you are going to handle this? Hiring additional resource, or you are going to do it by yourself? I don't remember the other options, but the right answer at that time, doing it by yourself. Because again, you want to let your people focus on the technical stuff. And if you can help them in the documentation, that would be appreciated, because that is your role as a servant leader, to act as a shield for your people. Okay. دعاء.
Yes.
Question number 40.
So question 38, right?
40.
40. Can you scroll up a little?
حاضر. This question.
Okay. What challenges can cross-cultural communication present to team member? What challenges can cross-cultural communication present to teams member? Priorities often vary and different. Team members tend to be globally distributed, presenting timing issue. The meaning of the message is not always understood. The emotional state of team members fluctuates. Uh, I can see C. I can say C. The meaning of the message is not always understood.
Okay. Why you have selected C? And why not D?
To be honest, D, I didn't understand the last word.
Okay. Why it's not B?
But B team members tend to be globally distributed, presenting timing issue. Well, basically, timing issue. Now we're living in this situation where we have some colleagues who are stuck in their countries other than India, maybe Europe, maybe Canada. We can always figure out a good timing or perfect time for all of us, and it's not an issue.
Okay. First
And
of all,
for A, no, in
yeah.
business, it's all the same. Our priorities are all the same when it's coming to business, no matter what is the culture is.
Mm-hmm.
So C, maybe the meaning of the message is not always understood because of the mentality. This is something you cannot manage.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. You are right, but regarding the answer, which is B, actually, here they are talking about the cross-cultural communication. Timing issues, it comes when we are talking about the virtual teams. But cross-culture communication, it can be within the same country. So presenting timing issues here, we are not talking about the virtual teams. The question is asking about cross-cultural. When it comes to cross-culture communication, let me give you a real example here in Kuwait. We have in our course we have Indians. I mean, in our real course right now, we have Indians, we have Egyptian, which is represented by me and the engineer Muhammad. We have Kuwaitis. We have, I think, Jordanian. Okay, so each and every one coming from different background, coming from different terminologies, different words, different meanings. For sure, when you were, when it was your day one in Kuwait, it's not like day 10. It's not like the 5th year. It's not like after 15th year. Why? Because initially, when you are going to start communicating with the people here in Kuwait, whether you are communicating with Indians, maybe some words you cannot get it. Maybe even the English or my English, I'm going to talk about myself. My English somehow it's need till now it needs improvement, but somehow it has been improved. Now I can easily listen to other accents and understand the other accents. Additionally, till now, like 50 or 60% of the Kuwaiti words, I am not able to understand it. Why? Because it's my failure. For sure, it's my failure. At the same time, when you're going to communicate with Tunisian, or we are going to communicate with Indians, when you are going to talk to Egyptian at the same time, some words which will be used in Egypt, it's different from the word which is going to be when it will be used in Kuwait. And for sure, all of us, we are familiar with some words like this. So the culture, the language, the beliefs, the religion, when you are going to say something to someone, when you are going to work in certain organization, having multinationalities inside it, and each and every one coming from different background, maybe even the food itself, maybe you tend to eat some kinds of food which is not preferred by the others. So all of this is representing the message. The message. The message itself maybe is not always understood. I hope the situation become clear right now behind this question. Again, we are not asked here about the virtual teams. We are not talking here about the virtual teams. Priorities, yes, for sure, it's going to be the same. Again, when it comes to cross-culture communication, the message may not be understood. I hope it is clear for each and everyone. Raise your hand if it is clear for you, please. دعاء واضحة لك؟ دعاء
Yes, Haitham. Yes,
واضحة
Haitham.
لك؟
Yes.
طيب تمام.
Hello.
الو ايوه سامعك تمام، انا بس حبيت اتاكد ليه واضحه لك ولا لا.
Yes, واضحة لي واضحة لي
طيب
شكرا.
تمام. نعم فهمت.
واضحة لي شكرا.
نعم. Okay, now question number 41. Mr. Abdulaziz,
Yes,
question number 41, please.
yes. This methodology uses an iterative-based agile approach. It is a single team framework that is primarily used to manage product development. At the end of each iteration, the team facilitates a meeting to review what went well and ideas for improvement. Which methodology does this describes, and what technique is this question referring to? The question said select two. So when we go to the choices, number A is sprint retrospective, Scrum, C sprint review, D Kanban. So when we go to the first part, which said which methodology does this describe, when we go first to the question, refer to the question said in the middle, at the end of each iteration. So it means no, it means that iteration it's related to the Scrum. Okay, this is first part. Second part, they said the team facilitate a meeting to review what went well and ideas for improvement. So they refer to the lessons learned. Each iteration or sprint at the end, the team will meet and see what went wrong, what went right, what can we fix for the future, what can we improve. So it's related to the A sprint retrospective.
And
So
why you
A,
have not selected sprint review?
it's not sprint review because it's iteration. And
Even in the iteration, sprint review is there. So why you have selected the sprint retrospective and you have not selected a sprint review?
because sprint retrospective, it's like lessons. I said it's like lessons learned, and it's like a sprint review. It's reviewing the process that already had been done. But the sprint retrospective, it's negotiate what went right, what went wrong, and what can be improved for the future. So I think this is the difference between sprint review, so only reviewing the previous,
Mm-hmm.
but sprint retrospective, it's reviewing the previous, but we put a plan for improvement for the next sprint or iteration.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Aghazi. So here the question is talking about the iterative based agile approach. Okay. And at the end of each iteration, Kanban is not going to work here. Why? Kanban it's not like the iteration we are going to have demand planning. We are going to have the product log and we are going to take the items from this product log based on the capacity, based on the team velocity, based on the productivity of your team. When it comes to the just one second. I think that there is someone waiting in the so when it comes to the iteration and planning for each iteration or for each sprint, we are talking about the Scrum technique. We are talking about the Scrum technique. However, sprint retrospective and sprint review. Just let me remind you with this part. I think we are going to find it here in print too. Okay. Here, if you can see the screen, we have, first of all, in the Scrum framework, we have 3 events. We have 3 events. The first one, or 4 events. One is called the sprint planning meeting that will happen at the beginning of each sprint or at the beginning of each iteration. You are going to plan for each and everything related to your sprint. You are going to assign or allocate the tasks to the concerned staff. You are going to plan for the delivery time. You are going to plan for the required resources. You are going to plan for the dependencies between the tasks and the activities, and even the risks which you are going to face. You are going to start doing the work based on the sprint backlog, which is going to be taken from the product backlog. On daily basis, you are going to have daily Scrum meeting. This daily Scrum meeting is going to be for 15 minutes. What has been completed yesterday, what we are going to do today, and what is going on. Burn down or burn up charts, as we have mentioned earlier during our session today, it's going to be used for reporting on the work which has been completed for the sprint and comparing to the product backlog. After finishing the work, not at the end of the sprint, after finishing the work, we are going to have what we call a sprint review. And that sprint review, we are going to have like a demo and testing for the end result, which have been completed in this sprint. Who is going to attend? Maybe the client, the product owner, the team, and the Scrum Master. The team is going to be encouraged to present their work, and the product owner may accept the work, or he's going to ask them to do the work again. And maybe we are going to have certain changes here. After finishing the work and ensuring that it has been accepted, now we have finished this iteration. But before moving up to the next one, we are going to have a sprint retrospective, which will happen at the end, not after completing the work. It will be at the end of your sprint or at the end of your iteration. The main objective behind this sprint retrospective is to uncover what was the problems, or what was the obstacles, or what was the issues which we have faced in this sprint, how we have overcome these problems, how we have solved these problems, and how to improve our performance for the future when we are going to plan for the next sprint. So Mr. Abdulaziz was right when he has said that the sprint retrospective will happen at the end of your project. I hope it is clear for each and everyone. Raise your hand if it is clear for you, please. Okay. Lower your hand. Now it is a time for taking the break. We have 15 minutes to finish our break. We are going to come back like 7:50. We are going to come back at 7:50. See you after the break, inshallah. Oh, really? Oh, really? Okay. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
yeah,
I
Haitham, yes.
can hear you.
I was talking and I was thinking that you are able to hear me anyway.
Yeah, we're just able to hear you now, yeah, Haitham.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so back to question number 42. Okay, let me answer this question again from my end, and again, just remind me tomorrow to share with you the flashcards for the Agile. So the question is stating that a project manager is responsible for projects that consists of agile team members dispersed across 4 time zones. The time has experience, or even the screen is not sure. Why you are not reminding me, guys? Okay. Um, the team has experienced communication issues. As a result, what can the project manager do to elevate the communication channels? Okay, now we have 6 options, either to select A or B or C or D or E or F. First of all, let's analyze the answers, and I'm going to start from option D. Co-locate the team. Co-locate the team is not that tool which is going to be used for solving the issues which are related to the time zones. Co-locate the team is a tool is going to be used at the early beginning of forming your project team to solve any problem related to the communication or interaction between the team, breaking the ice between the team, find the effective communication way between the team, understanding their cultures. So co-locate the team here is not the is not the right answer. Why? Because it's solving another issue or solving another problem. Assign work based on the location. Even if you are going to assign the work based on the location, still you haven't solved the problem, which is the communication between the team, because you are in a certain project. So in a way or another, the work which is going to be conducted by a certain team is linked to the other work. So also option number C is going to be removed. So option number C, D, and even F is going to be removed. Why? Because option F is saying what? A, B, and D. And D we have removed it. So now we have A, B, and E. When it comes to the agile and when it comes to the communication and your team is dispersed over different locations, you have 2 tools. The first one, which is fishbowl window and remote peering. Both of them are going to act as video conference from the start of your day till the end of your day. So anytime the team member is going to join, he's going to find a recording for what has happened over the last part of the last hours. He can see screens, we can share screens, we can share audios, we can share recordings. So When it comes to the problem which is related to the communication issues, which is coming from the time zones, it will be solved by having create fishbowl window and remote pairing. So first of all, you can start analyzing, or you need to start analyzing the question itself, understand the purpose behind the question, and after that analyze the answers, even if you don't know the right answer. But when you're going to analyze the question and analyze answers, you can omit one of the answers or two of the answers. So at this moment, you will have certain number or limited number of options. Question number 43. Mm, Nader.
Yes, Haitham.
Question number 43, please.
Marisol, an enterprise project manager for a Cups on Fire, kicked off activities to develop the schedule. To date, she has generated the schedule management plan and led the team through decomposition of work packages into activities. Now, she and the team are sequencing activities. She plans on displaying a visual using network diagram during the next meeting. What network diagram method is she most likely to use? Arrow diagram method, activity on arrow, preceding diagramming method, activity online. I think the decomposition, one of the decomposition technique is activity on arrow. So it will be B.
It will be B. Okay.
Activity on arrow. It's one of the decomposition technique.
Here we are talking about what? Now she and the team are sequencing the activities, right?
Mm.
And she plans to display a visual using network diagram during the next meeting. What network diagram method is most likely to use? Arrow diagramming method, activity on arrow, precedence diagramming method, and activity online. Let me show you one thing. Okay. Okay, now we are in sequence activities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The inputs for this is this, and the tools and techniques which will be used for that is precedence diagramming method, dependency determination, and the integration. Dependency determination is what? If you remember, Nether, how many dependencies we have?
We have mandatory, internal and external, and
Discretionary, right?
discretionary. Yes.
Okay. Precedence diagramming method is the one which is related to the sequence of the activities. Sequence of the activities, because it's going to identify. Let me show you. Can you read this, please?
The logical relationship between activities that describes the sequence in which the activity should be carried out. Yes.
Okay. Continue reading, please.
Each activity has a start and finish date. Precedence relationship are always assigned to activities based on the dependency of each activity.
Mm-hmm.
Predecessor activity drives the relationship and most often occurs first. Successor activity is driven by the relationship. By the relationship. This is type of preceding relationship.
Finish to start, start to start, finish to finish, start to finish.
Yes.
Okay. So when we are going to talk about the, what is that question again? When we are going to talk about this one, we are going to talk about the precedence diagramming method.
But this
Because we are,
activity on arrow is not what is for. It is technique for what?
there is nothing called activity on arrow. There is something called activity on node.
On nodes. Ah.
And precedence diagramming method is part of a
Mm.
okay, connected with arrows, and it will be represented by nodes.
Mm-hmm. مظبوط مظبوط.
Clear now?
Clear. Thank you.
Okay, most welcome. Um, let me ask. Mm, okay, Juby.
Yes, Haitham.
Question number 44, please.
Okay, you work with an organization that uses agile practices to manage projects. What type of performance measurements are you likely to use when evaluating your project? Okay, predictive and cost efficiency measurements. Predictive means it is waterfall. So that is another one. Value-based and empirical measurements. Cost efficiency measurements only. Empirical measurements only. Value agile. If it is agile, according to me, agile practices follows the value and the quality. It's not only one. It's not only cost efficiency. And first of all, it's not looking into cost efficiency.
Mhm.
Empirical measurements. It's actually together. Agile believes in value, providing value to the customer, to the
Yes.
client, plus the
Mhm.
quality. And the quality should be also measured and monitored.
That's absolutely true. So the right answer for question number 44 is the value-based and empirical measurement. Again, the agile technique would like to maximize the benefits and the value which will be presented to the client, and at the same time will be a regular measurement and regular testing for your iteration for your product during all of your project life cycle. So as mentioned right now by Juby, predictive. Once we said predictive, now we get out of the agile technique. When we can have with the agile or along with the agile the predictive, when we are going to talk about the hybrid life cycle. The hybrid life cycle can mix between different methodologies. cost efficiency measurement only. First of all, the agile doesn't pay attention for the cost measurement. The main concern is for the value and empirical measurement. Okay, question number 45. We have okay. باشمهندس محمد اتفضل يا فندم.
Question number 45. You are in the process of translating the quality management plan. You are in the process of translating the quality management plan into executable quality activity.
Haitham,
Yes, boss.
the question.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
Sorry, Mohammed.
Question.
Please.
Okay, question number 45. You are in the process of translating the quality management plan into executable quality activities that account for existing quality policies. What process you are in? This is managed quality, Haitham.
Why it's managed quality?
This is managed quality process because I'm now translating the quality management plan. We are preparing the quality management plan now. It's not
You are not preparing.
Start yet.
You are not
Sorry?
preparing. You are not preparing. You are doing. Engineer Muhammad, are you able
That's
to
why
hear
I'm
me?
managing the quality.
Yes, you are right. But you are right. The answer is right. But you have just mentioned right now, we are preparing.
Yeah, because I am working on it now, but because this is why it's managing the quality.
Yes. So let me show you something. Okay. Now, that is manage quality process. Manage quality process it's coming under the executing process group, and it's coming from the quality management process, quality management knowledge area. So the definition, the question was asking about the definition. The process of translating quality management plan into executable quality activities that incorporate the organization quality policies inside the project. So here we are talking about the definition. It's straightforward. Let me show you the control quality. The process of monitoring and recording result of executing quality activities to assess performance and ensure the project output are complete, correct, and meet the customer expectation. So as you can see right now, we can have certain straightforward questions. Let me ask, okay, Mr. Abdulaziz.
Yes.
Okay, so now question number 46, please.
46, yes. Which of the following are components of the sender-receiver communication model? Select 3: push, encode, transmit, and decode. So the answer is encode and C, transmit and decode. So when we want to send a message, we encoding the message and we put information and then send it or transmitted, send the information to the receiver. The receiver will decode the message and
Okay,
translate the information.
okay. So now why you have not selected push?
Push is it's another it's push. It's only if we have like the pooling. If I want to send, for example, if I want to send just I want to send email or information to the team without receive any feedback. So I push it. I push documents. I push like date of meetings, minutes of meetings. I push it without, I don't want any feedback. This is push. But interaction, I need a feedback from receiver, or acknowledgement from receiver that he received the information of the message correctly and he understand it. That's
Okay.
why I did not receive the push.
Okay. Okay. Let me thank you. Let me share with you certain thing when it comes to the communication and okay. First of all, here the communication model is describing the process of the communication regardless if it is push communication or pull communication or the interactive communication. I'm just describing the communication model or the communication process, how the message will be received, how the message will be sent. On the other hand, so when the question is going to ask me about the communication model, it's asking me about the process. But when the question is asking me about the communication method, whether it's going to be interactive, like the WhatsApp or video conference or meetings or meeting over Zoom or telephone calls, you are waiting for the response immediately. You would like to take the response right now. Push communication, I'm sending certain information to someone. I'm not waiting for the response right now. Maybe I'm waiting for a response, or maybe I'm not going to wait for a certain response. Let's say Dua, she's working for a certain IT company, and she's working in the IT technical support. And on Thursday evening, she's or before the end of the duty or the working time, she's going to send an email to the staff to tell them that we are going to take a certain backup or we are going to make a certain maintenance for our PCs. So please be sure that you have closed all of your work and you have saved all of your documents and shut down your PCs. She's not waiting for a certain feedback from from her colleagues. When you are going to send a certain internal memo for a certain people, when you are going to send certain email, certain facts, maybe you are waiting for a certain feedback, but it's not immediately. Pull communication, I'm publishing the information on my website, and whoever concerned about this, he can get access at any moment and see it. Like the e-learning websites, like the website of the certain company, like the newspaper. That's it. Okay. Question number 47. Dua.
Yes, Haitham.
Question number
Which
47,
of the
please.
following are components of the sender-receiver communications module?
Mhm.
I'm not sure.
You are not sure. Okay. So let me go back to Juby. Juby. Juby, are you here? I think he has a problem with his mic. Okay. Nader.
Yes, I can.
Question number 47, please.
Yeah, what is the goal of team charter? The team charter is like the ground rules, which controlling the relation between the team members. So I think what is fit for this is B. Create an environment where the team can be self-managed and self-directed. Just rules, is it?
That's it.
B. Yeah, I think it's B. I believe it's B.
Okay.
It 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 is like ground rules. Yeah.
It's not only the ground rules. It's not only the ground rules. It's also the way of communication between the team.
Mm-hmm.
It's also defining the rules and responsibilities between the team. Additionally, it's going to include also how to self-manage and how to self-direct it. So when we are going to talk about this, we are going to talk about option C. Create an environment in which the team member can work to the best of their ability.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome. Question number 48, Engineer Muhammad, please.
Yes, Haitham. Number 48. A project manager is in the process of building the project team and obtaining the materials and supplies the team will need to achieve the project's planned outcomes. In what activity are they engaged? C. Acquiring resources.
Okay, you are right. So when it comes to the resource management, we are going to pass by certain steps. First of all, you are going to plan resource management, estimate the resource needs, plan resource management, and estimate the resource needs. This is part of planning. Okay. When it comes to the manage and develop project team,
You get your money or not yet? Oh, wait a minute.
just 1 second, please.
ماشي.
Just 1 second. When it comes to the manage resources, develop resources, acquire resources, these three processes is a part of executing process group, is a part of executing process group. But let's see what we mean with acquiring, developing, managing. Acquiring, you have estimated the required resources in the planning stage. Now it is a time to have and obtain the required resources for your project. So you are going to start communicating with the vendors, you are going to start communicating with the service provider, you are going to start communicating with the outsourcing company. You are going to start negotiating with your team or the prospective team regarding the working time, regarding their availability, regarding their hourly rate or monthly rate or whatever. That is called acquiring your team. When it comes to developing your team, it consists of creating your team and enrich their skills and their knowledge, providing them with the required training. When it comes to the developing or creating the team, which is including norming, forming, performing, adjourning. When it comes to the training, you are going to assess their capabilities after acquiring them. You are going to identify the required skills for the project, and you are going to think how you are going to close the gap between their current skills and the required skills. So manage resource, you are going to assign the tasks to them and you are going to ask them to do their work. Monitor resource performance and monitor resource efficiency. You are going to ensure that you are effectively utilizing the resources which you have in your project. These resources also doing the work as per required. They are following the ground rules which you have developed for them or no? Is there any problem in the communication between them and how to overcome this problem? So here we are describing acquiring resources. Here we are talking about the acquiring resources. Question number 49.
Haitham,
Yes, sir.
Joby here. I have a small opinion.
Yeah, tell me.
Why it was not uh, estimating resource needs? Because part of the question in 48 is there are two parts here, if I'm not mistaken. The process of building the project team. Okay, that was one part. And obtaining the materials and suppliers the team will need to achieve the project plan outcomes. So in that case, we only to me, I feel that acquiring resources is a justifiable answer for the second part. But the answer D, estimating resource needs, because he in the first part it's mentioned, the first question is saying in the process of the project manager is in the process of building the project team. So that means it's not complete. So that means he is still in the estimating resource needs,
No.
right? Why was it not
No. It's
taken
not.
like that?
It's no. The question is building the project team. Okay, let's say now you are working in Juby, I'm sorry because I forgot. Tell me your background or your industry.
I'm from the IT infrastructure.
Okay, and you are working as
IT manager.
IT manager. Okay, so sometimes you are working as a project manager or projects manager for your organization, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm responsible
Now,
for the business. Yes.
okay, so now let's say you have a certain project and you have set with your team and you have estimated the required team members. You have estimated the number of required team members for your project. Let's say you are going to say, I need like one business analyst, IT, I need two developers or back-end developers. I need like one front-end developers, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now you have estimated the required resources. It is a time to have the team which you have estimated, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now you are going to start the communication with the people, let's say on LinkedIn. And you are going to tell them that actually we have a certain project and we are in the stage of building our team. And I saw your profile and I found that your profile is completely matching with us. We need actually like three back-end developers and if you are going or you are willing to join us, that will be good. And now you have conducted a meeting with that guy and you have agreed with him on his package and everything. And at the end of this meeting, you told him, as I told you before, we are in the stage of building our team. So because we are facing a certain shortage of the resources, do you have access to other back-end developers? Maybe he's going to say yes. So at this moment, you have built the part which is related to the back-end developer, right or wrong?
Right.
Now you get the idea or no?
Yes.
So here we are talking about acquiring resources. Here we are talking about acquiring resources. Question number 49. I have assigned this question to whom? Okay, now it's your turn, Jubi.
Okay, you are the project manager of Changing Tides video games. Your project is a long-term project and will be completed in 3 phases over the next 2 years. You have gathered the inputs for the estimate activity durations process and are ready to produce the activity duration estimates. Your sponsor would like a project estimate for all 3 phases by the end of the week. He understands that all the stage it will be a rough order of magnitude estimate and not entirely accurate. Which of the following tools and techniques will you use to produce this estimate? Parametric estimating, expert judgment, analogous estimating, 3-point estimating. I go with parametric estimating. The reason that I've chose is based on certain parameters only the phases has been decided or split. So there could be a chance that the whole project cannot be conducted in one phase, in a single phase. So due to constraints, certain maybe because each phase, the first phase the second phase needs to be is dependent on the first phase. These could be there could be several parameters that is dependent on, and that could be the reason that may point out to parametric estimating. This is what my guess is.
Okay. The question here is giving you a certain keywords, which is rough order of magnitude estimate and not entirely accurate. Again, not entirely accurate. When it comes to the rough order of magnitude estimate, which we have discussed even in the costing, and not entirely accurate, the variance between the correct or the accurate estimation and your estimation is somehow very big. And if you remember, when we were talking about the tools and techniques which would be used for estimating the resources or cost or even the activities duration, we were having common tools and techniques. These common tools and techniques was parametric estimating, expert judgment, analysis estimating, and when it comes to the cost and the schedule or cost and the activity duration, we have 3-point estimating. So here, the the least accurate, again, the least accurate and the least reliable technique, and which will have the big variance, is the analogous estimating. Analogous estimating.
Okay. Haitham.
Because what?
Oh, I said
You-
okay.
So analogous estimating is the least accurate. And here he's giving you again not entirely accurate. Why it's not accurate, entirely accurate? Because here we are not looking for the details. We are looking for the big picture. We are talking about the analogous estimating. When it comes to the bottom-up estimating, if you remember, we were saying that it is the most accurate technique in estimating the resources or the cost estimate or the activities duration estimate. Why? Because you are going to spend long time in breaking down each and every tiny element inside your activity. You are going to move from down to up. Because of that, it's called bottom-up estimating. While on the other hand, the analysis estimating is called top-down estimating. Is it clear for you right now?
Yes.
Juby?
Yes.
Clear?
Yes. Haitham, it is well explained. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, most welcome. Okay, now question number 50. Let me ask. Okay, we have Nader, we have Nurhan, we have Abdulaziz, we have Muhammad. Okay, Abdulaziz. Question number 50, please.
Yes.
Let
A
me.
small, yes,
Okay.
a small sample of your project's critical path is shown in the following table. Assuming each activity must finish before the next activity can begin.
Okay,
What is
just
the
1 second, just 1 second.
yes?
Must finish before the next activity can begin. That means what? The relationship between the activities is what?
It's finished to start.
That is finished to start. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. What is the late start and late finish date of the activity 3? So there is a table. The table mentioned activity 1, 2, 3, 4, and duration, early start, early finish. And the answer it will be, I think.
Just tell me how you have solved this question.
I should. It's. Let me check what is the latest start and late finish date. I should draw the diagram.
And you have drawn the diagram or no?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I should draw the diagram, then I will see what is early finish, what is early start, what is late finish, what is late start, then I will determine the answer. I know it, yani, but I did not draw the diagram, unfortunately.
Okay, will you be able to draw the diagram right now?
Actually, now I don't have pen with me now
طيب
because
ماشي. It's okay, no problem. Engineer Muhammad.
Nice. Yes.
Have you solved this question?
والله I solved it. يعني I didn't think about anything except that they are telling this is the critical path, right?
Yes.
And the critical path, the late start and the late finish are the same as the early start and the early finish because we have zero float.
Okay.
That's why I got for number 3, I go with the answer number B,
Which is?
which is the same dates for early start and early finish are the same dates for the late start and late finish.
I like your mind.
شكرا
اوكي
يا
لا
كابتن
بجد
حسن. ربنا يخليك.
عشان بس انا كان دي كان
اصل انا
بالنسبه
انا
لي
بيني وبينك انا ما حسبتهاش، انا لقيت انه كريتيكال باث والتوتال فلوت زيرو، والفكره في التوتال فلوت زيرو ان الليت
صح.
ستارتس الليت ديتس هي الايرلي ديتس، عشان كده
صح.
خدتها نمره بي وخلاص، ما رسمتهاش وما حسبتهاش.
صح. When it comes to the questions like this, you can spend some time in making drawing and calculating the late start and the late finish. Calculating the late start and calculating the late finish till you reach to the right answer. But again, at the same time, the question is giving us a keyword here, which is the critical path. Critical path, which means all of these activities, whether it's activity 1 or activity 2 or activity 3 or activity 4, are critical path activities. Critical path activities. If you remember, when we were calculating the float for the activities which will be on the critical path, the total float will be equal 0. That is for the activities which is on the critical path. That is for the activities which is on the critical path. But the activities which are not on the critical path, for sure it can have a certain float. So now, because the question is giving us a keyword here, which is called critical path. For sure, if we are going to be asked for the late start and the late finish for activity 3, we don't need to draw the diagram and spending like 3 minutes calculating the late start of the last activity and late finish of the last activity, and start doing or deducting the duration from the previous one and calculating this or calculating that. Why? Because all of the activities are on the critical path. So for sure, when it comes to activity number 4, the early start will be equivalent to the early finish. Equivalent to the late start, because the total float would be 0. So this activity is going to be finished on 6th of May, sorry, 5th of June, the late finish will be 5th of June. The late start, sorry, the early finish will be 5th of June, and the late finish will be 5th of June. The same will be applied here. The early start will be equivalent to the late start. The early finish will be equivalent to the late finish. And the same will be applied for each and every activity. So just you need to focus on a certain keyword. It's going to save for you the time which you're going to spend in solving the question. And it will be easy for you to pick the right answer. I hope each and every one that got the idea behind the question. You have two options, either to draw or to focus and get the keyword behind this. Thank you, Engineer Muhammad. So I hope it is clear for each and everyone. Raise your hand if it is clear for you, please. Raise your hand if it is clear for you, please. Okay. Let's move forward to question number 51. Let me ask Dua.
Yes, Haitham.
Okay, tell me or read the question and solve it, please.
Okay, a small sample of your project's critical path is shown in the following table. Assuming each activity must finish before the next activity can begin. Assuming each activity must finish before the next activity can begin, which of the following options is not correct? Okay, duration 21 days, early start. Sorry, I was reading 50. Okay, sorry. Which one?
اوكي خليني انزله لك لحد هنا. تمام عشان تبقي مركز.
Okay, just let me read it one more time, please.
Okay,
Is not
take your time.
correct. To complete the chart and determine the remaining.
خليني احطهم لك بالشكل المظبوط عشان تبقى الدنيا بالنسبه لك.
Set of calculation to perform. To complete after early start. I think A is wrong. 1, 2, 3, and 4 is a critical path. So all the activities on the critical path. So I think this is not correct.
Who said? The question is stating actually your project critical path. So all the activities on this project are representing the critical path activities. So number 1 is what? Is correct?
Is already
right?
mentioned in the question. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, let start and let finish are the next set of calculation to perform. That's absolutely true. Okay,
Yeah.
to complete the chart and determine the remaining dates of activity 4, you have here, he has given you the duration, right?
Yes.
But the dates are
Yeah,
not there.
I can calculate the dates for this one.
But through what? A backward pass.
No, not backward. I have to calculate the from third. From the third
Okay,
activity.
which will be what? It will be the forward pass, right?
Yes.
So the wrong word here is the backward pass. In order to get the early start and in order to get the early finish of this activity, we have to follow the forward pass. The backward pass, we are going to use it when we are going to calculate the late start and the late finish.
Okay.
You got the point? And after
Yes.
early start, early finish, late start, late finish, dates are established, you can calculate the float of each activity. That's right or wrong?
Correct.
Because, okay, could you tell me the formula which we are going to use for the calculating the total float of any activity?
Will the starting date minus the duration. No, the early start minus the late start, and
No, no, late start minus early start or late finish minus early finish.
Yes.
Late start minus early start, late finish minus early finish. That is to calculate what?
The float.
Total float.
Yes.
And how to calculate the free float? Okay, first of all, what we mean with free float?
The free float is the duration minus. That is minus.
Forget
Sorry,
about
I
the
cannot
formula right
remember.
now. No, no, forget about the formula right now. And by the way, you don't need to say sorry. We are here trying to remind ourselves with the answers, so you don't need to say sorry. So, first of all, I'm asking you about the definition of the free float. So, what is a free float? Forget about the
The free
formula itself.
float. It's the time that I have before starting the activity. Like if the last activity finished and then I have to start the next one. Sometimes I have a float time of 0. Sometimes, sorry, if it's 0, then it's in critical path.
No sorry here, okay. طيب خليني بس ايه افكركم كده بالفري فلوت والتوتال فلوت. Okay, we have two terms or two definitions. One is called total float. Second one is called the free float. Let's say I have a certain activities and that is the end of my project, and I have certain activities here, and I'm going to say, or I'm going to assume that this will be my critical path. So any activity on this critical path is going to be called critical path activities. critical path activities. Any activity on that path will have total float equal to 0. Free float 0. While these activities which are not on the critical path maybe they will have free float or total float. When it comes to the total float of, let's say, this activity, is that period of time this activity can be delayed in its start or in its finish without affecting the critical path of our project or without delaying the project. So this activity can be delayed for a certain period of time, but taking in consideration without delaying the project or affecting the critical path. That is called total float. The total float will be equivalent to late start minus early start or late finish minus early finish. That is the early start, that is the early finish, that is the late start, that is the late finish. Now it is a time to define what we call the free float. Is that period of time that an activity can be delayed in its finish without delaying the early start of the succeeding activity. Again, is that time that an activity can be delayed in its finish date without affecting the early start of the successor activity. So now, how to calculate the free float? The free float will be represented by the early start of this activity minus the early finish of that activity. Early start minus early finish. I hope it is clear for each and every one right now. And again, you are going to find this in the recording for our sessions. Is it clear for you right now?
Yes, clear, Haitham.
Okay. Question number 52. Nader.
Yes, yes, Haitham.
Question number 52, please.
The president of the company has asked you to lead a large new project that links to the company number one strategic priority. As a result, you will need to transition one of your other projects to another project manager. During the transitionary meeting, your colleague asks to see what training has been planned for the team. What training has been planned for the team? Where is this information captured? Training management plan, communication management plan, team charter, resource management plan. what training? Where is this information captured? Wallahi, I cannot pick anyone. Wallahi, Haitham. I need your help now. You can
Okay,
explain
so
what
first of all, so when it comes, let's analyze the answers as we used to do. The
yes.
team charter is related to what?
The
Communication between the team,
team, yes,
the objectives of the project, and the ground rules, right?
right.
So it doesn't include any information related to.
This training.
Okay,
Tamam.
communication management plan is talking about what?
This communication between stakeholder. يعني,
Okay, so it's not related to, it's related to how you are going to distribute the information between the stakeholders. Whether
yes,
it's going, you are going to have a kickoff meeting, you are going to have a status report, you are going to have a certain conference call, you are going to have a press release, right?
right.
When you are going to communicate or we are going to distribute this information, who will be the audience, how you are going to get the feedback, how you are going to communicate with a certain stakeholder based in Morocco, right or wrong?
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. So now we are going to remove this
Two.
one and team charter, right? So still we have resource management plan and the training management plan. Okay.
Okay. Tamam.
The resource management plan is including all the information which is related to the resources,
Yes.
starting from planning the resource management, passing by the estimating the required resources,
Mm-hmm.
passing by the acquiring of the required resources, passing by developing the required resources. We have been exposed to this part and one of the questions during our session today. Developing the resources is related to how to build the team and how to fill the gap between the current skills and the desired skills.
Uh-huh.
So the resource management plan is the correct answer. There is no standalone called
Yeah.
training management plan.
Yes. Nothing training. It's not. Yeah. Okay.
It will be embedded inside the resource management plan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Okay,
understand. Clear. Thank you.
clear now?
Yeah, yeah, it's clear.
Okay, 53. Let me ask Juby. Juby,
Yes, Haitham, I can hear you.
question number 53, please.
Okay, project manager is developing a high-level summary timeline of the schedule based on the product roadmap in collaboration with the team. This exercise will determine the number of sprints that are included within the release. Which tool or technique is the project manager and team using to develop the schedule? Agile release planning,
That's absolutely true.
sprint
You were,
sprint planning.
I thought you are telling me the right answer. Yeah, by the way, it's agile
You
release
can
plan.
take it as the right answer.
Okay, it is agile release planning. Let me remind you of something. Which one? Two. Okay. So here, when it comes to this one, okay. Now, when it comes to develop the schedule, one of the tools, agile release planning. Agile release planning. Yes, we have sprint planning. We have the network analysis. We have this, but when it comes to number of sprint, for sure we are going to omit this, because here we are talking about either agile release planning or sprint planning or release driven development. But as long as we are talking about the which tool or technique the project manager is going to use to develop this schedule, we are talking about agile release planning. Question number 54. I will do it for my end. Calculate to complete performance index based on, again, based on the current EAC. Based on the current EAC. The question is forcing us to follow, to complete performance index formula, which is related to the estimate at completion. Let me remind you with the two formulas which we have mentioned in this. Okay. Okay. Now you can see, to complete performance index, we have two scenarios: either to comply with the budget at completion or to comply with the estimate at completion. Here the question is asking based on the current EAC, using the following values. That is a budget at completion, actual cost, earned value, EAC. And we have here certain number of answers. In case the question is going to say based on the current PAC or budget at completion, then the question is asking us to calculate to complete performance index, what should be our performance in order to align with the original budget at completion. But here, the question is asking us what should be our performance in order to comply or to align with the estimate at completion. So here, let me just, okay. To complete performance index, as I said before, we have two formulas. Budget at completion minus earned value divided by estimate at completion minus actual cost. And we are going to use this formula in case we would like to align with the estimate at completion. The other formula to complete performance index, it will be budget at completion minus earned value divided by budget at completion minus actual cost. This, if we would like to align with original budget at completion. The above part is representing the remaining work and the bottom part is representing the remaining budget. The same would be applied on the other formula. So because the question is forcing us to take in our consideration, or directing us to take in our consideration, that we would like to align with the estimate at completion, then we are going to follow this formula. I need from each one of you to use this formula to give me the complete performance index. You have the values for the earned value. Sorry. We are going to use this formula because we would like to align with the estimate at completion. So you have the earned value, you have the budget at completion, you have the estimate at completion, you have the actual cost. So what we need is to put the numbers according to this formula and make the required calculation and give me to the end result. Now you have like 2 minutes to calculate to complete performance index based on estimate at completion. Please do it from your end. باشمهندس محمد، حضرتك عاوز تقول حاجه؟
احنا في سؤال 54 صح؟
ثانيه واحده يا فندم، معلش عشان انا احنا في السؤال 54 يا فندم.
ماشي اوكي. ما انا برافو دي بس اقول لك ان انا حليتها يعني.
طيب تمام، خلينا بس
ماشي.
نستنى الناس كده لحد ما يحلوها وبعد كده
ماشي.
نرجع نكمل كده. So finished? Raise your hand if it is finished, please. Okay. 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 So what is the result? It is matching with one of these answers or no? Let me ask Dua. Dua.
Yes, the answer was 1.
Okay. So now the formula is clear for you?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Nader,
Yes. Yeah, the
is it
answer
clear
is
for you?
one. It's clear. 5,000 divided by 5,000.
Okay. Juby,
Yeah, yeah.
is it clear for you?
Yes, it's clear. It's clear. Thank you.
Okay. So let's move forward and let's pick the or move to the next question. You are okay. Question number 55. Let's say we have okay. Mr. Abdulaziz, please. Question number 55.
Yes.
Question number 55.
Okay. Your project sponsor approaches you to let you know that he considering awarding a senior engineer on your project with a spot bonus of $1,000 for her work, while the engineer has delivered giant's commitments. She created a lot of friction with others in the process and was constantly violating the agreement documented with the team charter. What should you do? Here, what I understand of the questions, there is a problem with the rewarding and recognition system. It's clear that the engineer is disappointed of the returned or rewarding and recognition system. So, what I should do, I should like A, you notify the sponsor that the reward is appropriately linked to the performance. No, you notify B, you notify the sponsor that the reward should be distributed among the team equally. No. C, you notify the sponsor that reward are not an optimal way of motivation the team. Also no. D, you notify the sponsor that the reward is not in line with the performance. I think the D is correct answer because it's clear for me there is a problem with the reward and recognition system, and the engineer is disappointed because he is high committed with delivered. This is the answer. What I think D.
Okay. So when it comes to the you are right, by the way. So when it comes to the rewarding system, you are not going to be rewarded for your expected performance. I mean, let's say it was expected that, or as per the plan, Haitham should finish this task within 10 days. Then Haitham finished the task within 10 days. Then he should not be rewarded on this because he is taking his salary to finish this work within 10 days. But I can think about rewarding Haitham in case he was having exceptional performance. Exceptional performance. It was expected to finish within 10 days, while Haitham he has finished within 6 days, for example. So when it comes to the rewarding and recognition inside a certain company or inside a certain organization or inside entire project, you must have a documented policies and procedures standardized how you are going to make the rewarding. And when it comes to the rewarding, it's not only related to the technical part, or it's not related only to the accomplishment or related to your achievement. You're not going to follow the wrong ways to do or to achieve or to accomplish your task. So when it comes to this part, the question is saying that she created a lot of friction with others in the process and was constantly violating the agreement documented within the team charter. So she's a problem maker and she's not following the rules. So you're going to notify your sponsor that the reward is not in line with the performance. Her performance doesn't make it eligible or doesn't make her eligible for this reward. Why? Because she was having a lot of frictions with others and she was violating the rules in the team charter. Again, 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 you need to read your question carefully. Start by the last part of your question and start reading the answers. If you can pick the right answer from the last part, then it's fine. Otherwise, go back and read the question again. But maybe you will have like large paragraph. It's like 7 or 8 or even 10 lines. Reading the question itself, maybe it's going to take like 3 minutes or 4 minutes. You need to work smart in your exam. You need to work smart in your exam. In your exam, you have only 1 minute or maybe less to answer and review the question. So you have to work in a very smart way. And in each time, I'm going to talk about myself. Think about the way which have been followed by engineer Muhammad, and he's acting to me right now as a role model. Why? He has he has thought in a very smart way. So the critical path, okay, then any activity on this critical path is going to have float of 0. So the late start is going to be equal to the late finish. So I don't need to draw and spend like 3 minutes or 4 minutes in calculation. Keep these minutes which you are going to waste in a question like this for others. Okay, so question number 56. باشمهندس محمد اتفضل يا فندم.
يزيد فضلك يا هيثم. Number 56.
Haitham,
Paul
can I ask
needs-
you a question? Hello.
Just 1 second. معلش يا باشمهندس سامي. Juby, yes, I'm listening to you.
Sorry, a moment. I just wanted to ask you, just out of curiosity, I'm asking. Maybe this might have been discussed already, but I just wanted to know for question number 55, if a team member is not following the project charter or as per the commitment mentioned in the project charter, being the project manager, what is the action that has to be taken for such team members?
Okay. When it comes to
This is
the
outside of the question. Just this for.
no, I understand. But by the way, it is linked to the question in another way. So when it comes to the resource management, as I told you, we have planned resource management, we have estimated resource, we have acquired resource, we have developed resource, we have managed resource, and we have monitor resource. When you are going to make plan for your resource management, you are going to develop the expected performance from your team. You are going to develop the ground rules. You are going to develop the policies and procedures. You are going to develop the rewarding system. You are going to develop each and every tiny part related to the resources. Okay, so in case you're going to face such a problem like this in your project, it should be mentioned within your resource management plan, and it can be mentioned in your team charter. What will be the action which will be taken against anyone who is going to violate from the planned arrangement. So the project manager, first of all, he has to check what is written in the plan resource management, and if he is authorized to take such an action against this team member and he has an evidence for that, then he can take the required action. If he is not authorized or he has authority limitation, then for sure he has a certain escalation path. Escalated to whom? To the sponsor, and maybe the sponsor he himself is going to take the action, or maybe the team member if we are going to work in a certain functional organization. So the project manager at this moment, he doesn't have any authority over the project team members, right or wrong?
Right.
So at this moment he has to report to whom?
Either to the sponsor or to the functional manager.
That's true. You get the idea?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Clear
you.
now. Thank you.
Question number 56, Engineer Muhammad. Yes. Question number 56 باشمهندس اتفضل حضرتك.
معلش دايما بنسى المايك بس.
ولا يهمك.
Paul meets with his sponsor to review and obtain feedback on the project's benefit management plan. He carefully reviews the list of benefits captured to date, who owns each benefit, and how they map to the company's strategic objectives. What feedback is the sponsor likely to provide Paul about the plan? A, the benefit management plan looks complete with key components in place. B, the benefits management plan is lacking a system that will provide a feedback loop between him and the Paul. C, the benefits management plan is lacking a system that will trace each benefit to organizational strategy. D, the benefits management plan is lacking a system that will ensure benefits are tracked. I choose D on this one.
Why?
Because honestly speaking, يعني I just okay, the first one I excluded because this cannot be the answer, that the benefits management plan is complete. There must be something missing.
Why it should be must be something missing?
Because he in the question itself it says that in Nepal he refused the list of benefits captured to date. He owns who owns each benefit, that he has put all his efforts in identifying the benefits and mentioning them, but it's lacking something yet. But I choose D actually.
Okay. Anyone disagree with the answer which have been selected by Engineer Muhammad? Anyone has a other answer other than which has been mentioned by Engineer Muhammad? Okay. So the question, yes, the right answer is the benefits management plan is lacking a system that will ensure the benefits are tracked. And the justification which has been mentioned by Engineer Muhammad is right. Question number 57, Nader.
Yes, Haitham.
Question number
Uh, y-
57.
you work for a company that writes billing software programs for the communication industry. Your customer is located in a country that limits the number of
First of all,
foreign.
let me ask you, sorry to interrupt you, just let
uh,
me ask you a straightforward question, and there is no harm in that. Um, you have solved these questions, right?
no,
You haven't. Have you taken a look on the answers or no?
no, wallah, never.
حبيبي طيب تمام.
No.
Why I'm asking you this question, because I'm going to make a shortcut for this question. So
Okay, we'll
start
take
reading
the
from this
starter.
part.
Okay, tamam. Which of the following Which of the following tools and technique you will see to determine the potential effect on the project objectives, such as a time, cost, scope, or quality, and determine the likelihood of the risk occurring? Which of the following tools and technique you will use to determine the potential effect on the project objectives, such as time, cost, and determine the likelihood of the risk occurring? Risk categorization, risk probability and impact assessment, risk data quality assessment, risk urgency assessment. It's related to probability and impact assessment, if it is likelihood يعني, and determine the likelihood of this risk occurring. So it's about probability and likelihood يعني the yes risk probability and impact assessment.
Risk probability and impact assessment. And why you have selected this one?
I'm telling you because you need to determine the likelihood of the risk occurring.
Okay.
So I remember in the lecture we were talking about this assessment for the likelihood multiplied by severity.
Yes. So when we are going to talk about the potential impact effect on the
Mm.
project and determine the likelihood, then we are talking about what? Risk probability and impact assessment. Risk categorization, risk categorization, when you are going to identify the main the main elements of risks which you may face inside your project,
Mhm.
to develop the risk assessment criteria, to develop the risk assessment criteria. But the risk urgency assessment, after you are getting the risk score by multiplying, as you have mentioned right now, by multiplying the probability and the impact, you will get the risk score. But maybe even you have a certain risk, you decided to take action against it. So you have a certain list for taking action, and you have a certain list for as a watch list. These lists which you are going to take action against it, you are going to prioritize, or you are going to put it in a certain order, starting from the in a descending order from the highest score to the lowest one. But hey, you have to keep attention for the urgency assessment, which risks which will happen in the near future. You are going to rearrange your list to put even the risks which will have lower score at the top. So you are going to take urgent action against these risks, even if before the risks which have high score. Risk data quality assessment. You are going to keep in your mind that this data, whether you are going to collect data from someone, this data it's not biased. Biased mean, let's say you have a certain problem with someone, and you know that guy, you don't like him. So when you are going to make assessment for his work, you are going to make, let's say, making his work severe to take a certain action against him. That is biased.
Mhm.
Or your data is not mature enough. That is what we mean with the risk data quality assessment. But here the question is talking about finding the potential impact or potential effect and determine the likelihood. So here we are talking about the risk probability and the impact assessment. Is it clear for you?
Yes. Yeah. For
Okay.
me. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Now question number 58. Juby. Juby.
Mike is a seasoned project manager who has been tasked with mentoring Bernard, a junior project manager. During a mentoring session, Mike stresses the importance of managing lines of communication and then asks Bernard how many stakeholders are engaged in this project. Bernard responds with 15. How many lines of communication must Bernard manage for his project? 113, 105, 210, 225. Can I just have a look on the formula? I think there is.
Okay. Here the question is asking about, if you remember, when we were talking about the
Communication plan,
communication and the communication management plan, there was a certain formula, very
Formula,
small
yes.
formula. It is
Mm.
called communication channel. And I told you, you need just to memorize this formula. Maybe in your exam, you will be given the number of stakeholders and you will be asked about the number of communication channel. Question like that, it's straightforward, and you need to memorize the formula and just put the numbers inside this formula and you will get the right answer. The formula for finding the communication channels or the lines of communication
N is equal to n minus 1. Is that the one?
yes,
N
or
into n minus 1.
lines of communication it will be n multiplied by n minus 1 divided by 2. N is representing the number of
Communication stakeholders.
stakeholders.
So 15 into 14.
But again, this formula, it's easy, but
Yeah.
the question itself may be tricky. How? Maybe he's going to say the number of stakeholders, it would be 15, including you. Then the total number of stakeholders will be 15. The number of stakeholder will be 15 stakeholder.
Excluding you. Without you.
In additional to you.
So it will become 16. So 16 into 15.
Or plus you. Then the total number of stakeholders, it would be 16. So one word can change the result. So when it comes to this part, or when it comes to the questions of the exam, again, pay attention to each and every letter mentioned in your question.
هيثم
نعم يا باشا.
سوري يا هيثم، هو انا هعتبر واحد من الستيك هولدرز؟
اه يا باشا.
يعني هو لما يقول 15 انكلودنج يو يبقى احنا 15.
لو
لو
ما
قال
جاء
15
لا بص ثواني، لو هو ما جاش يا فندم وقال لك including you ولا مش including you، انت هتاخدهم 15.
طيب لو انكلودنج مي يبقى خير وبركه، هم ال 15 زي ما هم.
ايوه، لو ما قالش، لو قال لك excluding you، يبقى
يبقى
انت
لازم
كده
ازود نفسي.
تزود نفسك. لو قال
طيب
لك plus you، يبقى
ازود
انت
نفسي.
كده تزود نفسك. in
ماشي.
additional to you هتزود نفسك.
ماشي خلاص اوكي، شكرا يا هيثم.
وضحت؟ عفوا يا فندم.
واضح، شكرا.
Okay. Now the answer is Juby.
105. That is answer B.
Okay. I hope it is clear for each and everyone. Raise your hand if it is clear for you, please. Okay. 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 Question number 59. دعاء.
Yes, Haitham.
Question number
20.
59, please.
59. You really joined an organization as a project manager. Your first project assignment involves a project that has been active for 6 months. The period project manager returned from the company after 20 days. Why I can
there
hear
is an
myself?
echo at your
Why I
okay,
have
maybe someone is opening the mic. Okay, now I can hear you properly. Okay.
Okay, during your first week on the job, you notice that team members are experiencing a multitude of conflicts with one another. In leaning on your experience, you know that conflicts typically come about as a result or of what? Resource availability, personal work habit, geographic issue, scheduling issue. You know the conflict typically come about as a result of what? Personal work habit,
Okay.
resources availability, and the scheduling issue.
And why you haven't taken in your consideration the geographical issues?
Because geography now or being just in another country or another place is not an issue anymore.
Why it's not an issue anymore?
Because we have many ways of communicating. So this
Regardless of this part, it can be. If you remember, when it comes to the timing difference, it can be a problem, right?
yes,
Additionally, the culture can be a problem, right?
yes,
Okay. The holidays can be a problem, right?
correct.
But the question here is not referring to anything related to virtual team or
Okay.
the distance. Because of this, you are going to omit this answer. Is it clear for you?
Yeah, it's similar to the other question I solved before, correct?
Yes, I'm selecting you because it's similar to the question
Yeah,
I solved
I
before.
know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So question number 60. Let me جوبي sorry نادر تفضل يا نادر.
Yes, Haitham. You are working on an agile project that is must concerned about providing a finished deliverable that the customer may use immediately. Which development life cycle are you most likely to use? To deliver immediately, it has to be the incremental
And
because
why it's not iterative?
yes,
Why it's not iterative?
incremental will give small deliverable, s- uh, small deliverables. Is it?
Yes. So the customer can use it right now and they check the
That
market, right? And you are going to use it for a certain period of time and you can add a new value to your product, right?
right,
So we have selected the incremental life cycle because the customer may use it immediately.
yes,
In the predictive, again, the client is saying, oh, sorry, the question is saying agile. So predictive is not related to the agile work, right?
right,
Okay. Agile itself, when it comes to the agile, it's including high volume of changes, but it's a generic word.
mm,
But when we are going to say immediately and generic word including under it many methodologies like the iterative one. So why we haven't selected the iterative one?
iterative is it's a mix in hard and and I cannot remind it very clearly, but it has يعني, the deliverables are coming in iteratives, you know.
Deliverables coming in iterative.
it,
كمل
كمان
كمل انا معاك. كمل.
صح مظبوط.
لا انا عاوزك بس تكمل لحد الاخر وبعد كده هوريك حاجه بس كمل.
مم.
هو مش هنا
إيه،
هو I think اللي هي في طيب
و-
selecting project management methodology.
هي الفكرة بالديليفرابل بتاعها راح يعطيك سنجل ديليفرابل
ايوه
for each
صح.
iteration. ايوه
لا ثواني بس عشان بس تبقى الدنيا واضحه.
آه،
هو انت عندك سنجل ديليفري بس الاكتيفيتيز هو الهدف اللي انت عندك اللي انت بتقدم كوريكت سوليوشن في النهايه بس هو في
ايوه
الاول وفي الاخر هو سنجل ديليفري.
صحيح سنجل
اوكي
ديليفري ايوه
اوكي now you
بالانجليزي.
can see you can see this.
اه I clear. Yes, I'm clear with this.
Now we have single delivery for iterative and we
Yes.
have frequent small deliverables
Uh,
and here we have combines iterative repetition of activities with incremental deliverables.
yes.
And the most important here in the incremental is the speed, which is use immediately.
Yes.
Agile, the customer value.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hybrid is mixing between each and every one of these methodologies.
Yes.
Is it clear for you?
Yeah, it's clear for me.
Okay.
Thank
Um, that's enough for today. And inshallah, we are going to meet tomorrow to finalize the practice questions. Again, I would appreciate if you spent like 1 hour or 1 hour and a half to review the remaining questions and try to analyze from your point of view and detect the keywords in your question. Here, use immediately. Again, agile and use immediately. That are the keywords which we have to depend on it. So one keyword can give you the key for the answer, like the critical path, like immediately, like the EAC. Thank you for today, and inshallah we are going to meet tomorrow. By the end of tomorrow, inshallah, I'm going to share with you the reference books for the questions, and again we will be together till you pass your exam, inshallah. And I hope that we are going to have lifetime friendship, and I will be having the honor to be with you all the time. Thank you, and see you tomorrow, inshallah. Thank you, guys.
هيثم شكرا يا هيثم، بس انت كنت قلت في حاجه برضه هتعمل لها شيرنج بخصوص الاجايل.
بس استاذنك بس يا باشمهندس، حضرتك تفكرني بكره بس.
ماشي حاضر، لو
بكره
انا افتكرت
الصبح،
يعني. ماشي
عشان بس انا ايه، عبال ما هروح انا هتلاقيني اتقلبت على السري ده لو ما نمتش في العربيه، لان انا صاحي من الساعه 4
خلاص.
الصبح.
ماشي خلاص، ربنا يكون في عونك. خلاص بفكرك ان شاء الله.
يعطيك العافية. شكرا.
Thank you guys. Okay,
شكرا.
bye bye.
السلام.
Thank you, Haitham. Bye bye.
Thank you guys. Bye bye.
شكرا.